Hey, good evening and welcome. I'm David Stillman, the Transportation Manager for the City of Cupertino. Thank you all for joining us this evening for a presentation and a discussion on the development of Cupertino's Vision Zero Policy and Action Plan, and what is our second and final community meeting on this project. For those of you who missed our first community meeting and would like some additional background on the project, the video of that meeting is available to view online at cupertino.org/Vision Zero. However, we will be providing quite a bit of background information on the project tonight, along with highlighting our progress and our next steps. The city has been assisted in this effort by TJKM Transportation Consultants, a transportation engineering and planning firm with extensive experience in developing Vision Zero and similar safety plans for cities throughout the country. I'd like to introduce Mark Doty, our project manager with TJKM, who will guide you through Cupertino's Vision Zero plan development and provide information on how you can assist in this effort. Mark?
Thank you. Thanks, David. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you for everyone joining this evening. Again, my name is Mark Doty. I'm a senior planner with TJKM. I'm gonna let the rest of the TJKM team introduce themselves real quick. Devyani?
Hi, everyone. I'm Devyani Patpatri with TJKM. I'm the Assistant Transportation Planner on this project.
And Gary.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gary Schatz. I'm a Senior Transportation Engineer with TJKM and very grateful to be here.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. If you'll hold just 1 second, let me get that set up. All right, can everybody see that presentation? Great. All right. Okay, so again, this is our second community meeting for the Cupertino Vision Zero Action Plan. Purpose of tonight's meeting, again, we've just had our introductions. We're going to go over what is Vision Zero, our collision analysis, our countermeasure toolbox, and our profiles that we've come up with in tandem working with the city, our action plan, and then some of the Vision Zero programs, partnerships, and data collection. And then we'll have an open discussion and discuss the next steps. Again, we made our introductions earlier. We are with TJKM. So originally in 2022, the city of Cupertino developed its local roadway safety plan, or LRSP, identified safety projects, and developed a countermeasure toolbox. And stakeholder and community input like we're receiving tonight was very crucial to shaping that LRSP. So building on that effort is helping to inform our Vision Zero action plan for the city. So what is Vision Zero? It's a belief that zero traffic fatalities with proactive strategies for safer roads is achievable. It stems from a deep belief that no one should endure death or severe injury on Cupertino streets. We believe that the comprehensive strategy aims to eliminate fatal and severe injury crashes, promote safe and equitable mobility for everyone. It does prioritize safety and inclusivity in road planning and design, regardless of your age, ability, identity, or mode of travel. So some of the principles that deaths and serious injuries are unacceptable. We as humans do make mistakes and we are vulnerable, but responsibility is shared. Also one of the principles is that safety is proactive and that redundancy is crucial. Some of the benefits of Vision Zero is it's a data-driven approach to help identify, analyze, and prioritize roadway safety improvements. Again, it does consider stakeholder community feedback like that we will receive this evening to help identify additional traffic safety concerns. And it allows the city to implement a systemic approach to addressing these collisions. Again, we hope that this is tailored to the city of Cupertino and to the community's specific needs. And we hope that as part of the implementation of this, that will allow the city to apply for any kind of grants in the future, SS4A, OBAG, or any of the type. So again, the process, we will go through the collision analysis, the data that we collected from 2012 to 2021. We looked at the collision trend analysis. We identified those high-risk intersections and roadway segments, which we'll go over in a little bit. Develop safety countermeasures, again, using that data as well as input from the city staff. And then we are at the point of have integrated the plans and are starting to prioritize the improvements. And then that's where we want to get some additional feedback from the community this evening on those. So why does Cupertino need Vision Zero? Again, with one crash every 3 days, road safety in Cupertino is a growing concern, especially for those vulnerable users. And despite traffic signals, intersections seem to pose the most risk of fatal and severe injuries. So that means that we have to need to come up with some sort of a comprehensive strategy. So again, what the Vision Zero plan aims to do is create safer streets through various measures, and obviously with safety being the highest priority, with the goal to eliminate traffic fatalities and severe injuries, with the understanding that preventable incidents, that all incidents are preventable with no acceptable loss of life if possible. So real quick, we'll go through our collision analysis. Again, 1,157 collisions between 2021 and 2012 and 2021, including 83 KSI collisions. KSIs, killed or severe injury. 88% of those KSI collisions occurred at intersections for both pedestrian and bicyclist. Victims between 25 and 64 years of age represented 58% of those collisions between pedestrians and bicyclists, and the 55% of pedestrian bicycle KSI collisions occurred at signalized intersections as well. 38% of all collisions involve pedestrian and bicycle, yet pedestrian and bicycle collisions comprise 60% of KSI collisions. So again, we do notice a trend that your pedestrians and your bicyclists seem to be among your most vulnerable there in Cupertino. And those collisions were most likely to occur in the late afternoon or evening, roughly between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. So focusing on fatalities and severe injuries. So between 2012 and 2021, there were 9 fatalities total in Cupertino with 74 severe injuries reported. You can see kind of the map there on your left-hand side showing where those occurred within the city of Cupertino. Your high injury corridor, your top 7 corridors there: Stevens Creek Boulevard, Homestead, McClellan Road, Deanza Boulevard, Stelling Road, Wolf, and Bollinger as well. And then your high injury intersections, we did look up to 48 of your HIN, your high injury network intersections there in Cupertino. But again, your top 7 are Deanza and Homestead, Bandley and Stevens Creek, Cupertino and Stevens Creek and Deanza, Blaney and Stevens Creek, Deanza Boulevard had 2 additional ones. So you can see that really Deanza and it seems like Stevens Creek Boulevard seem to have a kind of a concentration of the highest injury intersections there. So based off of that data, we were able to put together some collision profiles in tandem with the city of Cupertino. So we identified the top 9 collision profiles that we believe are the top trends observed in crashes resulting in KSI. So these profiles, again, were developed through the analysis of collision data and other relevant environmental factors. We identified a collision type that is considered a priority concern in each profile, and then accompanying each profile are safety countermeasures that we feel like are most applicable to the specific collision and location context. And these countermeasures, which include engineering, education, enforcement strategies, we believe they help form a toolbox that the city of Cupertino can utilize to implement these projects tailored to address the unique safety issues there. So the 9 collision profiles that we identified, number 1 was pedestrian bicyclists are your most vulnerable. Your profile number 2 is there's unsafe speed there in Cupertino. Profile number 3 is improve intersection safety for all. So that is pedestrians, people riding their bicycle, motorists, but then also people maybe using non or motorized, e-bikes, any of the type like that. Pedestrian number 4, there were quite a few pedestrian code violations we hope to take a look at. Profile number 5, majority of bicycle collisions are broadside collisions. Again, that is where a bicyclist runs into the side of the car itself. Profile 6 is teenagers biking near schools and parks. Again, seem to be a vulnerable community. 7 is driving under the influence, with 8 bicycle collisions and automobile right-of-way violations, and then profile 9 collisions near transit stops as well. So part of our countermeasure toolbox, we believe that roadway design, pedestrian safety, bicyclist safety, obviously, operations and signal timing, speed management, signage and marking, education, public awareness, and enforcement were the top countermeasures that we believed could help with some of these issues. So for your countermeasure toolbox, whenever it comes to roadway safety, you can see that road diets and lane reduction, lane configurations, curb extensions, bulb outs, consolidating driveways, roadway and intersection safety lighting, intersection tightening, even raised intersections, raised crosswalks, slip lane closures, and then raised medians and closing sidewalk gaps, we believe would help the most with the roadway design. You can see with this that the efficacy, or what we hope the results will be, you can tell that if all 3 of the squares are filled in, we believe those will have the highest results or the best results. But then you also have the cost associated with that, and then how complex will that be? So if you have a high efficacy, that means that it will have the best result, and then the cost the most, and then the complexity as well, if all 3 of the little squares are filled in. So pedestrian safety, we believe marked sidewalks, high visibility crosswalks with either an advanced stop or yield sign, maybe a refuge island or median in some of those roadway segments or intersections would help. A pedestrian scramble, these have become very well known and popular in other cities, especially in California, that gives specific timing to just pedestrians to go through the intersection themselves. You have an accessible pedestrian signal or APS. Mid-block crossings could be helpful as well, so people don't have to walk as far, or they have a safe place to cross mid-block that is not illegal to an extent. And then obviously your rectangular rapid flashing beacon signs, which would be able to let the motorists know that someone is actually going through the intersection at that time, or walking through the crosswalk at that time. So looking at bicyclist safety, again, bike intersection marking, signal detection, how we activate that, should there be bicycle signals, prioritize bike lanes over on-street parking, 2-stage bicycle turn box, green pavement, or other protected bikeways, bike boxes at intersections, buffered bike lanes, and then shared trail and bicycle paths on their shared use trail and bicycle paths for pedestrians and bicyclists together. Operations and timing, the countermeasure toolbox for that is, adaptive pedestrian signal timing. This is where it actually would count down for you. It would tell you how much time you have left to actually get through the crosswalk. Sometimes this also is where the countdown begins before the light actually turns, so that there are maybe a couple more seconds that are available for people to get through the intersection. That's again, the PED countdown signal head, leading pedestrian bicycle intervals. Again, that's giving them a head start. Do we do some sort of a modified intersection stop control, protected left turn signals, any kind of a, signal sync slow, to where the signals are actually synced up together better. Again, that leads into signal timing and phasing improvements, hybrid left turn signal and flashing yellow right turn signal as well. So your vehicle speed, first your speed management, a feedback sign, it tells you exactly how fast you're going. Obviously reduce speed zones around schools would be helpful, especially for those types of, for those vulnerable communities. Automated speed enforcement, we know this is something that is being tested out here within the state of California right now. Should we use any kind of, roundabouts, bulb outs, chokers, anything like that to help slow traffic calming program, speed cushions, speed bumps, anything like that. High friction surface treatments, should that be reviewed? in areas maybe not that necessarily are residential, and then convert signal to a mast arm to help people be able to see the signals better. So signage and marking, through the last few in the countermeasure toolbox, again, signage and marking is just improving the retro reflectivity of the actual of the signals themselves with adding backplates with those retro reflective borders, pedestrian paddle signs that remind people that it is state law that you do stop for pedestrians within the crosswalk. Edge lines, parking restrictions at intersections, that can sometimes help so people aren't parking so close to where people are using a crosswalk at intersections. Enforcement itself then, high visibility enforcement, any other kind of educational incentives instead of citations, and then traffic safety diversion programs. For education itself, again, a citywide educational campaign or something that is through the schools there, your rapid response safety communications protocol, safe routes to school program. There is one there currently in Cupertino. Again, any kind of program that we can utilize through school children usually is very effective. Share the road awareness programs, either signage or just a general education campaign. Training manual that we can be giving out, any kind of other community partnerships, and then any kind of alcohol use assessment and treatment programs as well. So with your profile number 1, we noticed that your pedestrian and bicyclists are your most vulnerable. So, we believe that marked crosswalks, any type of pedestrian refuge islands, protected bikeways, rectangular rapid flashing beacons, again, those help to alert motorists that there is someone within the crosswalk itself. Any kind of a share the road awareness program, educational program, or a traffic safety diversion program, we think would be the most effective countermeasures for that particular profile. For your unsafe speed, we think obviously protected bikeways, that would segregate the lanes for the bicyclist lane reconfiguration. Should we reapportion the street to reduce any kind of excessive speeding? Vehicle speed feedback signs, again, that tells you how fast you are going as you pass the sign. Speed cushions or humps or other kind of tables to help calm the traffic. Reduce speeds around school zones, if that's an option, and automated speed enforcement. Those are cameras that we would put up as well. For your profile number 3, which is improve your intersection safety for all, obviously bike intersection marking, which would emphasize the priority of your cyclist over the vehicles that are turning. That would also provide enhanced visibility as well. Better marked crosswalks, adaptive pedestrian signal timing. Again, that's where, sensor detecting detects when the pedestrians are actually within the crossing itself, and then increases the crossing time if necessary. Raised crosswalks also help because it's essentially a road bump or a speed bump. Again, your lane configuration. And is there any, roundabouts that we could install at intersections to help slow the traffic and have it move a little more slowly, but still efficiently as well. So your profile 4 is pedestrian code violations. Again, we believe marked sidewalks, increasing your intersection safety lighting. This does decrease accidents during the nighttime hours and increases awareness and response time as well. Again, your adaptive pedestrian signal timing, share the road awareness program, any kind of a flashing yellow right turn, and then mid-block crossings could be considered as well. So profile 5, which is your majority of bike collisions, are broadside collisions. Again, if you had protected bikeways, that would be helpful. 2-stage bicycle turn box, which would give them a multi-stage process to safely and more visibly make a left turn. A bicycle signal itself to where it would prioritize the bicycle movements over the motor vehicle movements. A turn calming program, which is where you'd actually have your hardened center lines or your turn lanes through the intersections marked. Again, a bike box, which would be a way for bicyclists to actually, it'd be a safe and visible way to get ahead of the traffic, kind of in a queuing location, and then a flashing yellow right turn. For profile number 6, your teenagers biking and walking near schools and parks. Again, a safe routes to school program. The city of Cupertino has one. We would just expand upon that. Reduce speed zones in schools might be an option. Again, another bicycle signal, protected bikeways, flashing yellow turn signal, and then high visibility enforcement as well around schools, especially if you do reduce your speed school zones. Enforcement will become probably pretty critical with that in tandem, because people will get tickets if they're going over the speed limits in those school zones. Profile 7 is driving under the influence. Again, any kind of assessment and treatment program. Again, high visibility enforcement, any kind of educational campaign, working with other community organizations. Your vehicle speed feedback sign may be an option. And then also, educational initiatives over citations could be helpful as well. A lot of this is, education, reaching out to people why DUI, driving under influence, is not a good thing. So your profile number 8, bicycle collisions and, automobile right-of-way violations, protected bike lanes, again, the bicycle turn box, roundabouts, your red light violation cameras, if that is an option. And then also, maybe raised medians that would actually provide a physical barrier between traffic lanes and help restrict, illegal turns and reduce collisions that way. Profile number 9, your collisions near transit stops. Again, your protected bikeways, marked crosswalks, pedestrian hybrid beacon, which would provide instantaneous service. And then your rectangular rapid flashing beacons would, again, alert motorists when someone is actually in the crosswalk itself. So as part of that, we came up with an action plan, the Vision Zero program, our strategies and assessment. We kind of gave all these a short-term, medium term, long-term, or just a continuous. It should happen all the time timeline, and then your city resources, whether it's low, medium to high, obviously. So you can see here with your Vision Zero program initiative, the task force being set up, a dedicated and permanent funding source, a media workshop. These are all short-term ideas that could work or be implemented. Promotion and integration, having public meetings, an online collision map showing where these collisions are occurring within the city, your data collection and program evaluation, your monitoring, your report training, your data completeness, and your bicycle and data count. These are all medium-term times that could occur. Your high injury network infrastructure, your priority locations, your prioritized projects, your low-cost improvements, again, medium-term, stakeholder engagement, medium-term, operations technology, your signal timing updates. We think that's something that could occur short-term in the near future. And then your ITS, intelligent transportation system, something long-term. With your design review and complete streets, again, long-term or medium-term for those policies and design. For your education and outreach, we believe these are kind of medium-term items for your education campaign, speed, feedback signs, and targeted outreach. Again, this is something that, if it's continued over a period of time, that, people will have it ingrained in them better. And then obviously your enforcement, how do we work with the police academy, maybe also some short-term goals, and then alternatives to driving, subsidized transit, late night options, any kind of curbside management. Those are either medium or long terms. For our vulnerable road users, the bicyclists and pedestrians, your bicycle network, obviously that's something ongoing there within the city of Cupertino. Pedestrian crossings, improving those, turning vehicles at intersections. How do we improve that safety? And then for your children and seniors, high visibility crosswalks, senior awareness and traffic education for safe routes to schools, expanding upon what the city of Cupertino already does. Those are all midterm. So with our transportation technology, you can see here in the next couple of slides, in this slide, where your intersection safety strategies, bicycle and pedestrian detection, any kind of wayfinding orientation assistance, accessible pedestrian signals with maybe custom speech messages, your post-crash response strategies, any kind of technology and training for crash detail recording, and then maybe how we could use a dynamic traffic rerouting for whenever those occur, your proactive safety analysis strategies, automated speed data collection, signal system enhancement for red light detection, near-miss traffic incident identification systems, leadership strategies there in City of Cupertino, require latest crash reduction tech in city fleets would be helpful. How do you right size city-owned vehicles with safety technology and equipping city fleet vehicles with safety devices? Partnership with the VTA, so evaluation of the transportation priority treatments. Any kind of new transit vehicle engineering principles, and then provisions of protected crossings for transit patrons. And then your urban strategies, transportation strategies, any kind of autonomous vehicles, micro mobility, any kind of drones, vehicle to vehicle, infrastructure interconnections, collaboration with any tech companies for that autonomous vehicle testing. And then your legislation and ordinance, enacting of the existing ordinances while balancing the tech needs and societal expectations as well. Again, educational programs that the City of Cupertino either already has or could explore looking at is their Safe Routes to School, expanding upon what is already there. Americans with Disabilities Act engagement, having walking, cycling, or transit field days where people get out on a, like I said, Saturday, and everybody walks and bikes. Walking audits within specific neighborhoods or within the city at large, working with your medical service providers as well, and then improving your access to transit. Traffic enforcement programs, again, high visibility enforcement. Half those traffic violators actually have to go to classes or school to learn why what they did was not correct. Again, red light violation cameras, is that something that's possible at some point in the future? A traffic safety diversion program, publicized sobriety checkpoints would help with your DUIs, and then high visibility saturation patrols as well. Partnerships, obviously you want to collaborate with your nearby cities, with your local public health and medical institutions, your private sector engagement, are things that we could do at, private companies, at De Anza College, etc., to, help people be more aware of Cupertino, collisions and how to drive and walk and, safely and use their bicycles more safely in Cupertino. Advocacy for safer delivery vehicles will always be something we can look at. Your traffic safety, again, in schools, Safe Routes to School, which is already there, and the community and school ambassador programs as well. So your continuous data collection, as part of this, we'll set up, I think we've set up a dashboard actually where we will continue to look at your analysis, continue the reporting. Are some of these things that we are recommending once they're implemented, are they having the desired effect that we would like for them to have? Does that have a difference on your high injury network? We usually advocate that you kind of review your data information every 3 to 5 years or so. And then we want to make sure that, the injury and fatality reporting is complete as well. And that's where we'd work with the local police department and other agencies to make sure that that is done the way that it should be done. As part of this also, we looked at the general plan update, or the existing general plan there in Cupertino, how we could update that to incorporate Vision Zero. You can see in the Chapter 1 introduction, removing sentences that say crashes are inevitable, and then, kind of emphasize and integrate those Vision Zero principles into the overall general plan principles as well. integrating kind of Vision Zero policies into chapter policies, especially those that discuss public health, street safety, and quality of life. The mobility element, recommend maybe adopting a desired operating speed methodology, and designing our streets moving forward to be people-centric, to promote, sustained change and walkability. And then obviously we want to, encourage environmental resources and sustainability. How can we do that? Through softening streets, through either landscaping, bioswales, with a focus on Vision Zero principles, and then health and safety. Again, expand the chapter to include traffic crashes and Vision Zero principles, and emphasizing sustainable approaches to health as well. So how can you get involved? Take a, driving education class, pledge not to text while you're driving, install anti-texting software on your phone itself. Obviously, observing the rules of the road when driving is important. Bicycling etiquette is also important as well. And just being an alert pedestrian, know when your people, the motorists are, your bicyclists are, whenever you're walking, especially going through intersections. And then, the safe routes for all principles. So I know I went through that incredibly quickly. So I think it's time now for open discussion. Do you want me to keep sharing my screen, David? Is that fine? And I can go back and forth to slides if somebody has questions about specific slides or specific information. And then myself, Devyani, and Gary will be able to answer any questions as well. So thank you for your attention.
Yeah, that's fine, Mark. Thank you for that. And you can continue sharing your screen. And I just want to add that, yeah, that was a lot of information in a relatively short period of time, and everything that's been presented tonight, including background information on a lot of the information and more details, will be available in the Vision Zero draft report, which we anticipate having available for public review within the next couple of weeks. That'll be available on the city's Vision Zero website. So you'll be able to go through the report and revisit everything that was discussed tonight at the meeting. So with that, feel free to raise your hand if you have questions or would like further discussion about our Vision Zero. You can also put questions in the Q&A, and I'll be answering those as well.
Looks like there are two hands raised, David. I'll unmute one by one. Yeah. Jennifer, you can ask your question, please.
I don't have a question. I have comments. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. First of all, obviously this is great to hear that it originated in Sweden, which does actually prioritize transportation other than cars. I've been to Sweden myself. I think the biggest issue I'm having is that this is a huge amount of information, and it's kind of unreasonable to expect everyone watching and listening to be able to digest it and to be able to give reasonable and rational, fully thought out comments to it. So it kind of feels like it's kind of been dumped on us and we're expected to respond quickly. I just don't know whether or not we're going to be able to do it. I mean, I was making comments as we were going through it. One is we're making decisions based on 6 to 7 severe injury accidents each year in our entire city. Is that a sound way to design our future infrastructure? There's a lot of information here, but really nothing concrete. It's a huge box of stuff, and so much of it doesn't really improve safety as far as I can tell. Autonomous vehicles, crash reduction in the city fleet, neighborhood walking days. It just strikes me as like there's just a whole bunch of stuff in a box without any priority. The collision profiles, I'm I'm so confused. One of them has bikes running into cars, into the sides of cars, which is what was stated. And I don't see that being a common collision profile. all of the profiles end up with pedestrians or cyclists hurt, regardless of who's at fault. The charts on collision trends and profiles makes it seem like everyone's equal in these collisions, and they really aren't. You know, cyclists and pedestrians are most vulnerable, which was mentioned, but that doesn't show up in the collision profiles. The efficacy, cost, and complexity ratings for many of the items seem really arbitrary and don't make sense. For example, speed humps are listed as 2 boxes for complexity, but they're available off the shelf and can be put in place really easily. The cost for a complete safe routes to program is listed also as 2 boxes, which is the same cost as a lot of other items that are a lot less. So we spent $100,000 on this study out of our city's money, and we're in, as you know, a budget crisis. And I'm really confused about how this is giving us new information or has pinpointed how we can reduce the 67 injury accidents per year, other than doing all of these things, which is a absolute fortune in money and manpower. And if we only do some of them, I don't see a prioritization or how, you know, people who are actually living with this, or, you know, people like us from Walk Bike Cupertino that, you know, really have been aware of everything going on, have any way to give input on where we should go from here. So those are my general thoughts on this really quick dump of information. Thanks.
Hey, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I do agree. As I mentioned, it's a lot of information, and we don't expect it all to be digested tonight. We wanted to provide an overview of the work that's been done to date, and this report will be available online in the next couple of weeks for a more deeply digestible for those that are interested. And we will be taking this to the Bicycle Pedestrian Commission probably in February. Right now, it looks like February 28th is the date for the Bicycle Pedestrian Commission meeting. So there'll be further presentation there, opportunity to provide input on the plan, which of course you can provide ongoing to staff from now until the plan goes to City Council. We also will be providing guidance in this plan towards prioritizing actual projects. We didn't list specific projects in a priority at this point in this plan because we don't want to delve into bike plan territory. We will possibly be updating our bicycle or pedestrian plans in the near future, which is the opportunity to have a deep dive into specific projects and the prioritization of those projects. The information that we're providing, the guidance that we're providing in the Vision Zero document will help to guide the prioritization of projects that will be listed in the bike plan, as well as you know, countermeasures with which to mitigate the types of collisions that we're seeing around the city. Mark, did you want to add anything?
No, I don't. Again, we appreciate the feedback. And again, we're, you know, as David said, we're continuing to, you know, review this. Part of the process is to get feedback for it. So, you know, if there are things that you don't believe are, we're not communicating effectively, then that's something, those are things we can definitely take a look at.
Steve, please go ahead with your. Hi, Steve. You can, I think you are getting unmute by yourself.
Thank you. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I'd like to praise Cupertino. A lot of the measures here have been enacted. I live in the Tri-School neighborhood, and we've got a lot of crosswalks and lighted intersections and so forth, and speed bumps. One of the problems, and this is a tough nut, is human behavior. In daytime and nighttime, you have stealth bicycles and stealth pedestrians. You have some people riding bikes that don't activate their blinkers, you know, the blinking strobe lights in front and back. We have pedestrians wearing dark clothing at night. And a new phenomena, I live very close to the exit for both Monte Vista and Lincoln schools. Or front of our house is a heavy pickup and drop-off zone. And I've seen a student riding on an electric bike and another one on an electric scooter on the sidewalk. And based on the width of my property line and how fast they pass, they're moving about 15 miles per hour in a school area. So that's something new as far as apparel, I think. We focus a lot on intersections and streetways, but electric vehicles on sidewalks is something new. As far as pedestrians, some people, their warm weather clothing in the wintertime may be a dark sweater. So I just wonder if some kind of program to dispense reflective armbands or something like that to people so they would have some visibility at night. And I don't know what you do about bicyclists who don't turn on their strobe lights. So again, a lot of it gets some back to, being seen so that the motorists can see you better. I do know of a case where a bicyclist hit a car. It was Stelling and McClellan Road. There was a stoplight there, and a motorist went to make a right turn. His blinker was on, and the bike was coming down the bike path at a fairly high rate of speed. So the bike, when the light turned green, the bike was probably 3 or 4 cars behind the front car in line to make a right turn. So the person was not parked waiting right next to the motor vehicle. So the car went to make its right turn and was broadsided by the bicycle. It made a small dent in the car, and the bicyclist continued on his way. Well, that's the input I have.
Thank you, Steve.
I don't see any more hands raised, David. Okay, we have one. Hi, Marcy.
Yeah, hi, my name is Hervé Marcy. I would like to agree with the previous person who spoke, Jennifer, by saying that what you presented to us today is a great toolbox, right? We got a lot of tools, but it's like if you come into a workshop and you have a bunch of tools, you don't know where to start. What I would expect from this presentation is to give us like kind of what are the things that the city wants to prioritize moving forward. If I look at the numbers that you presented today, 58% of killed and severe injuries, collisions involve pedestrian and cyclists. I would have expected that presentation to focus a lot on what are the tools that are going to be effective and what leadership is the city going to use in order to reduce that number. Because if we want to go towards Vision Zero, which is saying that any killed person is unacceptable, then these 58% of pedestrian and cyclists being involved in KSI collisions is a very, very high number, and that's where I would start. And so I would love to understand a little bit better from this toolbox, what exactly are the things that the city is going to use in order to be the most effective. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Hervé.
I don't see any more hands raised.
Okay. Well, in that case, we'll close the meeting. Again, I want to invite everybody to review the report. It should be available online probably the second week in February. Feel free to attend the Bicycle Pedestrian Commission in February for additional information, additional opportunity for feedback. And I want to thank everybody for their attendance tonight.